Hey, Nick Starship again. Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be going over the August 19th update, which will bring to us the changes to the infused Warframe abilities for the upcoming Helminth, the Helminth segment for your ship, coming with Heart of Deimos. So these are the abilities that so far will be affected. And now these are considered nerfs, by the way. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and read them aloud, and then I'm gonna talk about it and why does it matter? Do we care? Does it change the game in any way, etc. All right. So part one. Please keep in mind we're still testing and playing around with the values for each, hence why the values are not present below. The following only apply to infused Warframe abilities. So that basically means that any of the abilities here mentioned will not affect Warframes who currently use those abilities. We're going to get to that in a bit. Rhino Roar, diminished damage increase. Interesting, right? Mirage, Eclipse, diminished damage increase and cap damage reduction. Valkyrie Warcry, attack speed increase reduced. Protea Dispenser, duration reduced. Nidus Larva, radius reduced. And Wukong Defy, armor capped. Alright, so these are the abilities so far before Heart of Deimos release that are getting this nerf. Okay, this is a nerf to abilities that are on Infused Warframes, which is coming out with the new update. Why does this matter? Does it actually matter? Will it affect gameplay? No, it won't, because you can already play with people who already have all these frames, and they can do that. The issue is that the synergy that would happen if you put these abilities on other frames would make them be crazy. Okay, where they would be the only ones people would put on anything. And I could tell you this already. I've already looked at all of these, and I said the freaking exact same thing, besides a couple abilities, which I don't really want to go into because I got some ideas with those builds, and I want them. But definitely Roar and Eclipse were the big ones on my end, where I really didn't want these ones to kind of be normal. Because what's stopping everybody from just picking Rhino and Mirage just to do more damage? Because right now the current meta is either you crowd control everything to where it can't fricking move, or you kill everything to where it can't fricking move. So that's interesting. The attack speed increase reduced. This isn't that bad actually, because there's an animation cap anyway on attack speed buffs, and I think that paired with other attack speed frames or even Berserk on like a frame is fine. Keep in mind Warcry does more than just attack speed buff. It also slows down enemies, and I think it might reduce their armor if I remember. No, I think it gives the player armor. So, which I don't know why they're capping the Wukong armor when, Valkyrie I think also gives armor, but we're not going to mention that. Protea Dispenser, duration reduced. So this is kind of interesting. Why would Protea have its dispenser reduced? I think it's kind of for the people who I was talking to have been saying like, "Oh my God, Nick, can you imagine Mesa with dispenser?" Yeah, okay. We don't want a repeat of Mag from 2015. Am I right, guys? Nidus radius reduce. This basically, if you're playing a crowd control frame like Vauban, or a frame that's based on range, and you're just trying to CC, uh, Larva's a good CC. Larva is a hard CC where it will pull literally everything if you have high range into the ball. So it might be reduced, but they didn't say by how much. Like it could be like by like 5 or something. It's not really that bad. I think Larva has a super high range anyway. You're probably not even gonna notice it. And then the Wukong armor capped. I think before it was like, was it 1500? I don't know what they meant by they're capping it. I don't know if it's with a K, a cap, by the way, cap. But we'll see how this goes. Especially since Valkyrie's Warcry can already give armor. It's gonna be interesting how the Valkyrie augment works as well with the melee kills, especially with frames that didn't necessarily benefit from before from Warcry, but at least being able to cast it on yourself is nice. Not sure if they stack. I don't really remember. But yeah, these are so far the abilities. There's a couple other abilities I'll go over when Helminth is released, where I think they're pretty freaking awesome. But I like the way DE is going with this. It's pretty nice. I approve of this as long as the values aren't like 50%. If they're like by like flat increments, like diminished damage increase. I don't exactly know what they mean by diminished damage. I don't know if that means that over time the damage you get from the roar will delay, or if it's like if you keep casting it over and over and over again, you're gonna get lower and lower roar. I I really don't know. Diminished damage and increase and cap damage reduction. The damage reduction is already capped on Mirage at 95%, even with high power strength. So I'm kind of confused what they mean there. And the diminished damage increase, once again, I don't really understand what they mean by that. I think it's in more detail somewhere else on the forums, but on this page, it doesn't really go into detail about it. Here's DE stance on why do these infused Warframe abilities have these rules. Basically means like, hey, all our endgame players are like, yeah, these are freaking awesome to have on like other frames. The faction damage or the overall damage buff that Roar gives is kind of insane. And even Eclipse actually has a higher percentage base than Roar, and having that as a self buff is kind of awesome. And I'm glad they did this, so it's not like everybody's running around with just these two abilities. Because at the end of the day, if everybody's running around with Roar, are you really any different from anybody else? You know what I mean? So the ultimate goal of the Helminth is to kind of make those unique builds. It's to kind of show people, hey, I made this. You know, there's what 400,000 different combinations with all the abilities that are released. So we'll see. We'll see how it is. I think I did the math. It was something like that. It was a lot of combinations if you include like you could take away like any of the abilities on frames. Part 2. They're also lowering the mastery rank down to 8 from 15. I approve of this. I think that 15 was freaking insane. I think that was way too high, especially with the rate of which quests. Like you can do, I believe you could do the sacrifice at master rank 5. I know you could do War Within. You have to be master rank 5, and you can also get the access to the upcoming War Within quest. I believe still at master rank 5, when previously the cap was master rank 10, but they made it so you can just get the Paracesis sword by just watching the cutscene now instead of like having to do the quest because they came out with the War Within. So I believe it's master rank 5. It might be 8 for the sacrifice. I'll have to look into it. But the now it's 8, which means DE is gradually scaling the game upwards in terms of where they want their players to be. Like before, the standardization of their players was, okay, if you've done the sacrifice, we know you have Excalimbra, we know you have Umbral mods, you should be able to take on content around this level now, right? Mastery 5, hopefully. So they're able to scale their content in conjunction with where you should be at in terms of mastery rank, as well as quests. Okay, so having their players be MR8 means they most likely have at least done the War Within around that time, and at least played the game a bit to be familiar with the mechanics. It might be still too early unless they lock it behind a quest. They said they've locked the master rank prerequisite behind 8. I don't know if this means that it's locked behind a quest, or you can immediately just go to the frickin' thing in your ship as soon as the update comes out and start feeding it. I don't know. I hope they lock it behind like a small quest, or at least an introductory thing. I don't think it should be able to be just immediately accessed at level 8. That means that if you're a brand new player and you launch the game at MR8, right, you just go in the back of your ship one day and it's just a thing there. Like, you look at it and you're like, what is this? So we'll see. It'll be interesting. I hope it has to do with the... yeah, right here. The Helminth segment is acquired in the heart of Deimos in the Entrati Syndicate. So with that sentence alone, I can kind of understand that that's not what the case is going to be. It's going to be you have to do the Syndicate, and in order to have access to the Syndicate, you have to be MR8, based on what I'm reading. Similar to how you couldn't get access to Quilanco unless you did, I believe you have to do the quest for Gara, I think, to have access to him, if off the top of my head. But without spoiling too much, the Helminth segment is currently obtained at rank 3. So I don't know if that means that there's going to be more than 5 ranks. On estimate, I imagine it's kind of just like a regular syndicate, just to keep up with the theme. So there's probably 5 ranks or even 10. But it'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to this update. I'm looking forward to making a bunch of videos. I'll probably come out with a video every day or every other day, just showing some cool stuff I find or some builds or how it works or even like the stat changes. I also want to do a video about the Arcane Energize pricings because they have gone up quite a bit. So look forward to that probably tomorrow for the Arcane Energize videos. Anyways, thank you guys. I'm Nick Starship, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.